This is Pop the Cork, and this is a new gelding that I'm very excited about. And this is his first post-track ride. So Pop the Cork, who you can very cutely either call Pop or Cork, is a 4-year-old 16 two-hand thoroughbred gelding by General A-Rod. And I had another horse, a really beautiful big black horse, earlier this year, also by General A-Rod, and he was the first I'd ever had, and he was really pretty amateur friendly, big beautiful gelding. And Pop the Cork is also they're not really the same color at all, and they go a bit differently, but also another bigger, really attractive to look at, cute moving gelding. So I'm quite happy with him. And obviously this horse is just super adorable. He's a really cute mover. He has a good canter. He got here on Friday, so he's just been here for a few days. So it's kind of quick to do a first post-track ride, but I worked with him on the ground on Saturday, and he just seemed like a really sweet, easygoing kind of horse and not nervous at all, which is what his track connections reported, that he is just a really sort of quiet, nice mannered type, which is absolutely accurate. So I decided that he would be okay to do a first ride today, and obviously he was, and he was really super. He was very much, well, let's start with the really nice things. He was really easy and quick to figure out the contact. I mean, obviously he very naturally wants to make a good shape. He figured out softening really quickly. I thought that he was easily moving in front of my leg without being hot or tense at all. He was very green and typical for a first ride in the fact that, he doesn't understand God, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. He doesn't understand moving off of leg pressure. There we go. I knew I could find the words. So when he's not straight, like here, you'll see he's coming down this long side, he's leaning on that left shoulder, and he just doesn't understand yet to yield to the left when I put my left leg on. So of course that makes straightening him a little bit difficult. And I'm trying not to go to my hands because he is really soft. And if I have to take a half halt or I try and correct him with my hands because it's not working with my legs, if anything, because he's so soft, I feel like he ducks behind the bit a little bit. So a couple of things. The first is that next time he'll definitely go in the duo, a nice soft rubber bit, because he's so light in the hand. And he'll probably just spend another ride or two walking and trotting and learning to move off the leg. That's really that's the quick, well, I'm not going to say it's quick, but it's a very simple solution and a normal place for a horse to be when they're young and right off the track. He just doesn't quite understand that yet. But that is just normal horse training for young green horses. And so there's absolutely nothing complicated about this horse. There's nothing worrisome. He was super well mannered. He walked, trot, cantered politely in both directions. Nice movement, good transitions, just really willing to do all the things. The right was a little bit harder than the left, as it very typically is. That's never surprising to me. He's a little bit crooked anyway. It's hard to get him straight. Doesn't really understand yielding to leg pressure yet. And then you go to the right, and it's always harder to the right because they want to lean on that left shoulder. And the left shoulder does tend to be the shoulder that he just wants to lean on more anyway, in both directions, actually. So, of course, then when you go to the right, it's much harder to keep that left shoulder straight coming around that short side by the gate. So you'll see a couple of times I get it pretty good and I keep him pretty straight, and a couple of times I lose the shoulder and he falls out. And really, I mean, that's the worst of his behavior, is that he'll fall out his shoulder. And so that's really nothing to be upset about. That's actually a really well-behaved young horse. So you'll see here I'm sort of like trying to correct him drifting to the left, and then he ducks behind the contact a little bit when I'm doing that, which is why I'm thinking he would be better in the Herm Springer. But here around this corner, that was beautiful. I loved his connection. He was straight. He was in front of the leg. The connection was really beautiful. So this is the harder half of the ring. And then once we kind of hit this long side, and of course the long side helps to straighten him, then this is the beautiful half of the ring. And really lovely here. I mean, so this is, I don't know if it's going to be a couple of weeks or a couple of months, but how he just came around that corner is he's going to have that 100% of the time at some point in the near future. He's just got to understand a few basic cues like leg pressure and moving off the leg. but he's obviously totally reasonable about it, and he really let me work on it. I mean, he let me put pressure on, and he has no worries or issues with taking cues and understanding directions. He's very agreeable, very happy to answer all the questions. So, of course, if it's hard to keep him straight through that shoulder in the trot, of course the canter is going to be more difficult. So, the right canter is definitely the hardest thing he did today, and it's hot, and he's hot, and I'm hot, and I'm sure he's getting tired. So, but I will say, he really actually did get it here. So you'll see that first time we went around the corner, we lost the shoulder. And then here, that was actually much, much better. I was really happy with that. When we picked up the right canter, I sort of had the intention of like, okay, I'm going to give this a go for a minute. And if we can't get it and he's just, falling to the outside and it's kind of a mess, I'm just going to stop and we'll just work on basic walking and trotting and getting straight another day. And then we'll come back to the canter. But he's very agreeable and he's easy to work with. So I was actually impressed that he gave me as much as he did on this ride. The first time I went to ask him to do his do his canter trot transition, he sort of, when I sat and started to ask him to trot, he sort of hollowed against me. So then we did another loop so that I could get him back where I wanted him and do a better transition, which he did. That was a much better transition. It was really hard to get any sort of productive walking or walk video done because the flies are so bad. They're annoying them so much. So they're all shaking their head at the flies, and I don't blame them. I want to shake my head at the flies too when they're bothering me. And so Pop is really, really cute and easy and adorable to work with on the ground. He was enjoying getting his bug bites scratched up around his neck and his withers. And he's just, I mean, since he's been here, he's been just absolutely perfectly mannered.